Welcome to Unleashing You. In today's episode, I speak with Kristy Borbas. Kristy's mission is to unite women back to their voice and lead them to empower themselves. Kristy is a business owner based in Australia and does healing work, astrology, tarot, and so much more. In our conversation, Kristy and I dig into one of our favorite topics, energy cycles. We discuss how you can work with your natural energy cycles to turn this into your true superpower. Kristy shares easy ways you can begin to tap into your natural superpower to create life-changing results. And trust me, I've tracked my energy for several years and I teach my clients to do the same. It is going to change the game. I know you're eager to hear more, so let's get started. Before we begin, I want to make sure that you have the Unleashing You retreat on your radar, because just the fact that you're tuning into this podcast means the Unleashing You retreat is right up your alley. The reason I created the Unleashing You retreat is because as women, we tend to look to everyone else for the answers. We somehow think that everyone else knows better than we do, when in reality, tapping into your own intuition is actually the key to living a happy and fulfilled life. And that's how I've created the career and life I have now, and what we'll teach you how to do during this retreat. An inner shift like this will leave you with tools that you'll use for the rest of your life. This retreat is so much more than a girls' trip. This is a transformation. If I've piqued your interest, I want to personally invite you to join us in Steamboat Springs, Colorado on September 19th through the 22nd. During our time together, we will go through coaching workshops and other deep personal development activities that will uncover aspects of yourself you never even knew. Work like this would take months or years to do on your own, and we're going to get you there in just a few short days. Not to mention, we'll be staying in a gorgeous mountain home, complete with a private chef, so you don't have to lift a finger. If you are ready for a pampering getaway where you can recharge your batteries and feed your soul, send me a message on Instagram or visit acrprofessionalcoaching.com to learn more and reserve your spot. Spots are very limited, so do not wait. And I'll see you in the mountains. Now, let's get on to today's show. Welcome to Unleashing You. This podcast is your permission slip to create success your way. I'm your host, Amanda Riffey, a certified success coach and female business leader who has climbed her way up the corporate ladder. I've been through burnout and back and found the tools to bring fun and enjoyment to my career while creating powerful results and leading in a way that feels authentic to me. This show brings you conversations with women just like you who have created massive success for themselves and are doing it in their own way. We'll hear about their personal journeys of growing their career while still prioritizing the things they love most. If you are ready to be challenged and encouraged to reach your next level, then buckle up, sister, because the road to dreamy success begins here. Let's dive in. Kristy, I'm so excited to have you on Unleashing You. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful spring day here in Perth, Western Australia, and waking up really happy and excited to talk to all your viewers. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm a little jealous of that spring weather that you guys are getting, even though fall is actually my favorite, but it is getting chillier here and it's getting warmer there, and I get a little jealous. But let's just jump in. So can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you do?
Yeah, beautiful. I'd love to. Thanks for having me as well. My business is basically women's empowerment, I call it. And it's about trying to empower the woman to be able to speak their truth, be the authentic self, and take space up in the world, because we've been told to be quiet and men rule the world, but we all know women rule the world and we need to rule the world. So I'm here to try and help empower women to step into that power that they've got inside and really own who they are as a person. And, we might be a mother, we might be a wife, we might be whatever we are, but it's about really taking that time for self as well, and then allowing that to bloom as well as all the other things that we do and all the other hats that we juggle. So, yeah.
That is so beautiful. And I know you and I have gotten to know each other more over the last few months, and you just have such a light and such an energy. And I can really see the passion behind what you do for women. And that's what I think just makes you just the perfect person to come on the podcast. So we could talk about so many things today, but we know we have limited time. So you and I were chatting ahead of time, and I think what would be so great to really talk about today is energy cycles. And whether we are women working in corporate or entrepreneurs or just in our personal lives, working with the energy, with natural energy, is just such a game changer. It's something that I work with my clients, and I know it's something that you work on with your clients as well. So can you kind of give a brief introduction to this concept for those who are sitting there being like, what are you guys talking about?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So basically women have got a cycle, as we know, right? A menstrual cycle. And even when you stop bleeding, you've still got that cycle in your body, because we were, designed to have children and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't just stop at menopause either, which is something that I'm doing in the background and looking at. But what I love about it is that we've got our own 28-day cycle, most of us, some less, some more. And then if you look at the moon, it also has that lunar cycle, right? So us and the moon are sort of one. And in astrology, which I study, the moon is the mother and it's a feminine essence. So that makes sense. And then we've also got nature's cycles. So just working with the three of those are just so powerful. And that's sort of where I love teaching my clients how to look at that and work with it rather than against it.
Yes, for sure. And I will say, even me personally, and especially my clients, the more that you align yourself with that energy, I mean, you're not kidding when you say being able to work with it and not against it, because I mean, it is a game changer when we can work with our energy. It's amazing how much easier things feel, how much more flow we have in our lives. So can you talk a little bit more about maybe each one of those phases in those cycles, and just a little bit more about the energy that comes with each one of those?
Of course. So when you're in sort of the start of the period, it's obviously day one of the bleed till day 5 or 6 or less, if that's what you're doing. That's your winter cycle. So that one is where you really just turn inwards. So if you can sort of allow in your diary, if you know when your period is on, this is why it's great to cycle, right? But if you allow that time, it's sort of that time that you want to put a sign up and say, don't annoy me. I don't want to go out. I'm not interested. I just want my alone time. So it's about being alone, going inwards and resting. Because if we look at the medicine women years and years and years ago, they were in a tent and they were actually just, all of them were resting. The ones that had the period, the ones that didn't were looking after them. So as mothers, as wives, we don't do that. We are looking after everyone. Doesn't matter, we've got a period, whatever, we've got a corporate meeting, this and that. But if we can just allow some time for that inwards journey for those few days, your body is trying to rest. It's doing so much. It needs to rest. So it's about inwards, rest, reflection, and just being. So a bit of downtime, basically. And then we move into the spring cycle, and that's coming up to your fertile time. So this is when your energy starts. But also with winter, very low energy. So just going to work, just getting the basics done, maybe have some soups ready, have some freezer food ready or whatever, like thinking like that. Going into the spring season, you're looking at, increase of energy, starting to feel like spring, right? The sun's coming up, you're starting to feel a bit better. You're not as sore. You might not have any issues around, all the soreness that you had over the period or your aches and things like that. So you start to feel better in your body. You're starting to feel more alive. So you're going to then want to plan things. So planning, organising, maybe you send out a couple of messages to your friends, let's go out, and plan that for the next week. So it's about planning, structures, organising, slowly coming out of that winter rest, right? So looking for the light. And then in summer, you've ovulated. So you've done that, or you are ovulating. So then you've got your, you feel a bit flirty, you feel a bit fun, you want to go out, you want to celebrate. And that's when you do all the things. So that's when you might have a podcast that you're going on. It might be that you organise your wedding around then, or, a girls' night, like we said, or, maybe you want to ramp up what you're cooking, make batch cooking and things like that. You're going to feel really excited about being with the people that you love and being in fun, because that's your fertile time. And then you sort of wane. So that's the most energy. And then you wane. So like the moon, we go downhill into autumn where we have less energy. And I find that this one's a really good time for reflection. So you've looked over that time. So reflection, starting to slow down. You're starting to get tired. You might get cranky and moody, so you'll be snappy. So starting to have less engagements in your diary, less things to do. Maybe say to that person, oh, that party sounds amazing. Can I let you know, in a week? Just see how you feel. But the autumn to me is that real downtime of dealing with, you just the energy is waning and you're really just reflecting, you're letting go and you're releasing, because you're getting ready for your next bleed, right? If you have a bleed, otherwise, pregnant, that's a whole other story. But that's the sort of cycle as we go. And then that's sort of how I sort of see it and how I work with my clients.
Yes, I love the way you just explained that, because it went with the cycles of the seasons. And so things that no matter what we can really relate to and be like, oh yeah, okay, winter, spring, summer, fall. But then really looking inward, and we have those same types of cycles. And I love what you talked about, even with looking at your schedule and when you're planning things. Anyone who knows me knows that I live and breathe by this. So one of the things that I do now, I have a Google Calendar that I use for everything. And I created a secondary Google Calendar that I overlap onto my regular one, that my cycles are very regular. I'm on medicated birth control, so I very, very regular. So I figured out when those days are for me, and I just have them repeat every 4 weeks. So you could ask me to do something in February and I'll be able to look ahead and just like you said, be like, can I let you know how I feel? Or could we do it this week? That sort of thing. Because what I used to do, and I couldn't figure out why, is I would be like, oh my gosh, this sounds like so much fun. Let's do this. And like you said, you'd text your girlfriends and be like, hey, let's have a girls' night. And then you schedule it out and it's 2 weeks later. And then the day comes and you're like, I am just not feeling like it. It's because I felt like it in that moment rather than planning for it. So I love that tip around being able to really start to get to know that for yourself, and then have whatever works for you to be able to plan. There's going to be some things that we can't control, but there's a lot of things that we can, or suggest another date, or for planning things for work. I know there's certain days of the month that I, number one, can get so much stuff done if I don't have a lot of calls or meetings. I will be motivated to just shut my door and get my to-do list done. And so I put more project time on my calendars on those days. Or I know there's days where, like you said, I might be starting my period that day. And so I will block the afternoon of my calendar, because I know my energy really goes downhill after lunch or whatever that might be. So just those tips are so, so valuable.
Yeah, they really are.
Absolutely. So you mentioned, looking inward to our own cycles, but how can we partner that up with some of the seasons?
Oh, I love it. I love talking about this. So obviously for spring, so for you guys, it's autumn, or you call it fall.
Yeah, I know. That's my Midwest accent coming out.
I love saying it, fall. We say autumn. But yeah, I used to actually always hate autumn and winter, right? Because when I thought about it, it was like too hard. I was just a go getter. I just wanted to do everything, be everything for everybody, until I basically, fell flat on the floor and thought, I can't keep doing this. And that's when I went into this. So the autumn, if you look at it, it's actually going into the depths. So the winter is like the depths. It's the real time that you align with yourself and just try to shut out the world, basically. So for autumn, why I love it is because you've had the peak, right? You've had your summer and you've gone out and you've gone hard and you've done everything. And, I've seen your pictures, you're going out with your girlfriends, you're doing all the stuff. So you're doing everything, you're seeing everyone, you're enjoying the sun. We're meant to be in the sun, right? But when the autumn comes, it's actually spiritually, it's known to be like the grief period. And what it is about releasing and looking at looking at what was really good over the last 6 months for spring and summer, but what we actually might want to let go of before the next spring and summer. So really looking at it as a 6 month and 6 months, and then the little 4 sort of quarters in that. So autumn, really looking at, okay, so this summer I had a really good time. I did this, I did that, but I might not want to actually continue on with this, or that part of my business is sort of done. I enjoyed it then, but do I really want to look at it now? I don't know if I do. Or personal-wise, you might have started doing dancing or something, but you don't want to do it. So it's about that sort of reflection and slowing. So slowing down. The fresh mornings means a little bit more of a sleep in, a little bit more rest, being kinder to yourself. And then you're bringing in that beautiful, nutritious food. So think of it as, before your period, you want to make all those beautiful foods to nourish yourself over the time that you've got your bleed in winter. It's the same as the seasons, right? You're changing your food. So changing your food, changing your energy changes, and then also your energy changes, but also your spiritual stuff changes. So if you can align, even autumn and winter are great for journaling. They're great for that reflection, looking at things, what didn't serve you over the spring and summer. I actually did too much. I loved to go out with my friends, but my external family it was too much trying to race around doing all that with them. I might have to let go of one of this, and just looking at it and reassessing. And then winter is sort of a deep dive. So that's when, if you think about for Christmas, this is a really good example. For Christmas for you guys, right? This is what I see on TV and stuff. But you all have your family in. You're all inside the house. You're all gathering. So it's about being with loved ones, but not overextending yourself. So just with the small group and trying to do the cozy things and nurturing and loving and being in that state of gratitude. But winter, if you look at yourself solo, it's journaling. It's like, I don't like this anymore. I'm letting it go. Or this pattern that I've been doing, it's not good for me. I need to change this. You might stop drinking for a while, or you might stop people pleasing or whatever, but it's about the journaling and the looking and the going within, right? Because in spring, summer, you're too busy to do that. So it's the opposite. And then, once that winter season finishes and you've had some alone time, some downtime, some looking at yourself, you'll go into the spring and you're feeling more alive. You're feeling more excited. You're starting to plan. I'm going to go to Europe next year. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to there. You might book some flights, get excited about life. You might think, I want a podcast. So you start researching, organizing, to-do lists, getting all that going, right? So that's sort of the energy is ramping up. And then in summer, you totally expanded like the sun. So you're doing the podcast, you're doing the things you plan. Because 6 months ago, you're like, I'm letting go of X, Y, Z, my business, family, life, friends, and maybe routines. So that in spring, summer, the new comes, and that's all the new routines and the new work and the new things that you've wanted to do. Maybe you want to meet new friends. Maybe your friends are, pulling you down or whatever, and it might be that you start a new group. So it's all of that, and it's exactly the same in your period every month.
Yeah, it is. And if you think about, as you mentioned, the seasons, especially here in the US, I mean, there are days in the winter where I don't leave the house. I'm wearing slippers. We've got the fire going. The days are shorter. The nights are longer. And you're right. It's just that naturally what we do. And it doesn't mean, to your point, we're alone that time, but you usually a lot of times crave just maybe a few close people. And just, that's where I have a friend where we do TV watching nights, and we just wear pajamas and sit on the couch, and we don't even really have to talk. And I love those times when my energy is low, even though it's still hanging out, with a good friend. So I think that's so spot on to think of the overall seasons and then matching that up with how we're feeling within our bodies as well. So smart. I hope you're enjoying today's episode. I wanted to interrupt for a brief moment to invite you to create success your own way. I am currently enrolling in one-on-one private coaching opportunities. This is for you if you are ready to go all in and see big results. With 4 months of focused time just for you, you will skyrocket your growth and success beyond your wildest dreams. No more dreading Mondays. We'll make every day feel like Friday. Ready for a promotion? Let's do it. Want to start your business? I'm game. Need to find balance between your career and your family? I promise you it can be done. Are you longing to level up your leadership? Well, then let's bring out that badass CEO. Together, we will transform your career and your life into something you are really proud of. Get ready to get back in the driver's seat and create the success of your dreams. And did I mention we will have so much fun along the way? Send me a message on Instagram or head to acrprofessionalcoaching.com to learn more. I'll also put the details in the show notes for you. Your road to dreamy success begins here. Now, back to the episode. Kristy, I know you've been doing this for a long time. For me, it's probably been only within the last couple of years that I really started to align better with my energy. And I know for me, I can remember just so vividly how just a lot of times it just felt so forced, whatever it was that I was doing. And, I might have a project at work and I'm thinking, okay, I have to work on this right now. And so I'd be staring at my computer for so long, not making any progress, just staring at it. And then I, would walk away or I would come back even, within our energy cycles within the day, then the next morning, that's where for me, the ideas flow, the energy gets higher, just like you were talking about with the seasons. And all of a sudden I can knock that same project out in a fraction of the time. So do you have any tips for maybe some tactical things that we can look for or, projects or tasks that we can do during some of those certain times?
Yeah, sure. So another thing to look at is also the moons, and looking at like the full moon is the high energy period when you're really wanting to go out and express yourself. And then the new moon is that closed door, leave me alone, quiet. So that's another way of looking at it as well. But in regards to, say, work-wise, I would say winter is when you, reflect. So you're just, I think, holding compassion for yourself and being exactly like you said. You've got this to-do list and there's no way in God's earth you're going to get that done. It's just not going to happen. Why would you beat yourself up about it? So winter, compassion, rest, and taking some time out. Then you're looking at spring. Get your, ducks in a row. Do your to-do list. Start reaching out to those people for a podcast. If you've got a meeting, start looking at what can I do today, what might wait till next week, just organising and scheduling. And then in summer, it's the to-do. So spring as well could be like a declutter, like I'm doing that now. I'm going through bags and bags of clothes and like giving them to the homeless and giving them to people because I didn't use them over the last year. I've reflected, no, don't need it. So it's what you don't need, get rid of it, clear it. So you're clearing space for summer. Then summer is when you do all the things. So you might put out, example, a new sort of exercise routine in spring, and summer is when you're going to really implement it and do it. And then autumn, you're not going to feel like it, but you're going to keep it going, obviously. But you also release, okay, well, you know what? I probably said walking 5Ks is too much. Release that. What's the new intention? Getting ready for the next spring. It's actually just walking 2Ks because that's all I can really do. So it's, looking at that compassionately and just being kind to yourself. Like, we don't need to be robots. So spring is the, getting that going. Summer is getting it going, actually doing it, implementing it, and just being grateful and expanding. And then you go into your autumn, which is then slowing down, reassessing. So for me, that's my journaling time. That I find with women is the most intuitive time. Things will pop into your head and you just need to just quieten your mind and just, okay, yep, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to not talk to that person because they're really negatively impacting me, or that food I've been having, or the third coffee a day, probably don't need that. You get these drop-ins, so just allow that. And that's sort of what I would do over that period of time.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And just a couple of things in what you said. number one, the guilt and not beating yourself up. That was one thing that was just eye-opening for me when I started looking at my energy cycles was, again, we're primed to do certain things at certain times. And when you're trying to force yourself to have the same level of productivity or be able to do the same tasks every single day, we're not meant to do that. That's not how we're built. And so it was that reframing and that shifting of, okay, sometimes I am going to feel like knocking out that to-do list and I'm going to have put off for weeks. And then all of a sudden I'm going to be like, yeah, I can do this all today. But then there's also going to be times where I'm feeling more creative and, be able to brainstorm more and ideas come. But there's also going to be times where I do not want to be overscheduled and I just need that space in my calendar. And so being able to feel okay about that and not feeling like you have to hit this productivity high every single day was just like such the permission slip to really step into my strengths as a woman. So I know we are getting close on time. What last tips or just practical things would you share with somebody who's listening to this and is like, okay, yeah, I need to start tracking my energy?
Yeah, just before I forget as well, when you just mentioned, I thought, yeah, I've got to mention this. I want the listeners to know that we are not men and we can't work like they do. The patriarchal system is not for us. It never has been. And I think we beat ourselves up because we want to be like that. We're in these corporate jobs or we're trying to be an entrepreneur or I'm trying to actually retire my husband. I would love my business to take over and him to do what he wants because he's been the bread earner while I raise my son. So realizing that you are a woman and in that is power because we have got this exactly. I forgot to mention about the creativity in the spring and the ideas and everything. So that's really that time of spring, creating, getting new ideas out. It's when all the thoughts processes come in and you implement them in summer. So just quickly touching on that, it's like so powerful to know that we have this energy and we can do double what a man does in that time if we go with that energy. But if we allow autumn and winter to be our quiet times, and exactly like you said, I have, like today's my day off. I'm doing this, taking my son to school. I'm going to the beach for 2 hours. Then I'm going to do a couple of emails because my day off. So I'll do the email, but I'm not doing anything else. A client wanted to come and I said no. So boundaries around that time because you don't want to overextend in autumn and winter in your cycle. Not being a man, the man says yes, yes, yes. And we become people pleasers. We cannot do everything. We're raising children. And even if we don't have children, it's the same sort of thing. We're trying to people please our parents. We're trying to people please the friends around us. We're trying to people please and bend over backwards for your partner and doing everything and doing all the things. And we actually can't. So don't think that you can, for starters. Let that go. Be authentic to yourself. And that's a big, big thing in the work that I do. I really get women to stand in their power and say no because we don't need to be overextending. But anyway, go back to your question now. What I would do is I would actually start cycling. That would be my first thing. So start charting your cycle. You can Google, menstrual cycle charts. I used to do it in this spin wheel and it had like the cutout of 28 days and left a couple because sometimes it's 30 days or less. And I would put day one and I would put 3 thoughts of how you're feeling. So I would go, day one, very low energy, pain, angry. Day 2, da-da-da-da. And do that for about 3 months. So sort of now till even January for you guys. And you will then be able to look back. After the 3 months, you'll be able to look back and do exactly what we do, what you and I do, which is, okay, I'm going to chart out my cycle. And a big thing for me has been when people ask me to do things in spring, I'll do all of this. Yeah, I want to come to that party. And then it comes to it, I can't be asked. I don't want to see them. I can't be bothered. I need to be alone. I just want to be with my son and my husband. Like, no. Why did I say this? And you feel guilt by saying no. So looking at your chart, if people ask you to things and it aligns with that time when you might want some scheduled time alone, thank you so much for inviting me. It sounds amazing. When is the deadline? Can I get back to you? I love this. It sounds amazing. Let me just check my schedule. Is there a time that you need to have a yes or a no? Do you need to know now? So just sort of reframing the way that you just don't say yes. Just sit. You know what? It sounds okay, but I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. So, and being open and honest. The more honest we are about to other women, the more they will respect us and the more we can respect their time and energy as well. because we are doing all the things and we don't want it to overextend. So 3 months, I think, cycle, relook at it and really be compassionate in that and allow your energy to lead the way. And if anger or anything comes up, it's because you have put all your balls out and you're just too busy and you haven't put time aside. You can then retract and say, you know what, I know I was meeting you for da-da-da-da-da, but I actually really need some downtime. I hope that's okay. Let's do another time. I'll get back to you. And put things in your court so you're not overextending. You're actually looking at that. So that's what I would do. And I would also look at the seasons for you guys, fall or autumn and winter. You know, start reassessing what has happened over the last 6 months and write down things that you want to release, let go of, what is not going to serve you next spring and summer, and looking at that. So just aligning that and the moon and your cycle. If you even did it for 3 months, I think it'd be absolutely powerful for you. And you'd be able to start seeing the patterns. We are women. We are a part of nature. The cycles of us are the cycles of nature. So work with it and your life will just expand.
Yes. I mean, even if you look at, how I work with my clients in one-on-one coaching, that is one of the things that you can look on my website right now. And it's, step into your superpowers as a female. And that's exactly what we work on, is just really looking at their personal energy and how we can really work with it instead of against it, because you're so right. It's life changing when we do that. Kristy, I could talk to you all day. I know we have to wrap it up. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you following this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Instagram as Kristy Borbas. I think you'll put all your links up and everything there, but Kristy Borbas or email. And then I've got a website under Kristy Borbas, Shopify website as well. Yeah, I do astrology. I do tarot. I do goddess embodiment work, and I work intuitively. So, over the miles, we can intuitively do a session, and whatever's meant to come up, I guarantee will come up, and we can work through it that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, you have some really amazing programs. I know you have your Inner Compass program, and correct me if I'm wrong, but all of those things can be done virtually. So they don't have to be in Australia with you.
No.
Anyone can work with you from all over the world, which is just so cool.
Yeah, the Inner Compass is it's a 3-month one-on-one program with me where I am using all my tools that I've used over the last 20 years for myself to help empower you to live your life with your own inner compass. So from your own sense of being, everything else will just work out that way. So, yeah, I'd love to talk more about that if anyone's interested.
Beautiful, beautiful. Kristy, thank you so much for being on the show today. Such a great conversation and really practical tips that can be life-changing for many of us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda, for having me. I've absolutely loved it. And to all you in the States, enjoy your fall, get out there and really go in deep and, see what's there, see what you can shift and move.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you would like to continue the conversation, connect with me on Instagram and say hello. You can find me at AmandaRiffy_coaching. In the meantime, if you know you are ready to say yes to yourself and find an incredible support system of other female business leaders just like you, then visit my website at acrprofessionalcoaching.com or send me a DM on Instagram to find out more about the Leadership Legacy Circle enrolling now. This program is a 2-month exclusive and transformative group coaching and learning experience that will allow you to feel so aligned in leadership while creating fantastic results at both work and at home. Don't wait. The next group is beginning soon. Chat with you again later.